On today's Success and Excuses podcast, we have Kirsty Strain. Kirsty, welcome to Success and Excuses podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Tell us all about yourself.
Oh,
this is an exciting one, by the way.
Where will I start from?
Wherever you want.
Well, I'm an actor and I'm a voice and communications coach. And so I grew up focused primarily on acting. That was my passion for a really long time. Worked in film, television, theatre over the years. Mm-hmm. But the path to get there was not a smooth one. There was lots of other life experiences to happen and go through. And then in the last few years especially, I've gotten more focused on the coaching side of things. I've got really passionate about that because life happens and changes of direction occur and the things that we become passionate about changes. And so for me, I'd always sort of been coaching in the background. Mm-hmm. I'd had a real interest in voice. Mm-hmm. And so during my training, I took additional voice electives and really looked into that and investigated that alongside vocal training, and it's particularly accents and dialects and things like that. And so was asked to coach randomly. It was just someone asked, will you work with me? Worked with them, and then they recommended me to someone else who recommended me to someone else. Right. And then as I started working with people, I was always just doing it as a way to balance the life of an actor. Yeah.
Which is a tough gig.
Because acting it's not a secure profession and it's very up and down, and so you need something else to sort of balance things out. So initially, I was just doing it for that reason, really. But then as I got involved in it and as my life changed, my life circumstances really changed about 6 years ago. And then COVID was not long after that. And so people were starting to work with me, and I'd never been busier as a coach. Yeah. Because that was a time for people, I think, where their skill set reflect. Yep. You know, things were changing for them. Their job requirements were changing. Yep. They were having to do a lot of online meetings. And so also for them, they were looking at how are they going to be developing their skill set moving forward. Yeah. So for me, I know for a lot of people, COVID was a really problematic and challenging time. Yes. But actually for me, from a coaching perspective, I was never busier.
Me too. Me too. We'll talk about that later. Me too.
And that's when things changed for me, because as I started to work with people, I started to gain insight into a lot of different things about communication and about the impact that people feeling like the lack of confidence was having with people and things like that. And I ended up developing my own, I don't know if I would say strategy, but my own insight. Yeah.
Your own framework.
My own framework of how I go about it. Yeah. And then I became really passionate about it because I saw how life-changing it was for people.
It's unbelievable, isn't it, when you see somebody change in front of your eyes?
I mean, just for somebody to have that sense of being able to breathe easy in themselves, to enter any space and communicate effectively, and to feel confident going into any environment, and to not be limiting themselves or be held back because of fear or limiting beliefs or relationship to a particular environment that they're having to speak in, and just to change and grow within themselves. So what I realised and discovered was that it's really all about alignment and presence and alignment and connection. And I had been working physically so much with vocal production, breath, vocal placement, physical alignment. And then I realised this relational alignment is also really important. And relationship is really the key factor and key component. So bringing all of those things together and working with people and creating sessions specifically tailored for them, that became such a joy and such a privilege and such a passion that I still work as an actor and I still have my agents and I'm still doing projects, but I've developed such a passion for this now that it's sort of become a really huge part of my life. Yeah,
when it clicks, doesn't it? So I want to go back to the early days of the coaching and how you get here. And you obviously started to really feel like you were watching these people and you were seeing their confidence changing. So if somebody was listening to us right now and they're like, oh, you know, I'm always terrified when it comes to meetings, what do you say? What's the key ingredients that you work on first?
So it's, first of all, I want to get to know them. Because, I mean, everything that we do, there's loads of different things that I'll do, from looking at how we are in our breath and where our vocal placement is and the body, all of that stuff, but then all the relational stuff as well. So it's not a one size fits all for me in terms of, oh, here's the framework. We start at A and then we go all the way through, right? Yep. What it is I get to know the person. So right away, someone will come in and I'll know instantly where they're breathing from, where they're speaking from, where they are in their alignment. And then I ask them
I'm thinking you think of me with my breathing, my alignment.
Yeah, man. No, not at all. It's about feeling somebody out and getting to know them. So I really work very, in that sort of connected way with someone, and then I'll ask lots of questions about how they're experiencing things, because ultimately it's about how they're experiencing it that's creating what's happening for them. So one of the biggest things that comes out of it for me, and I find that because I'm doing this all the time, certain key things come up all the time.
Yeah,
and so now I find myself saying things and I'm like, I'm always saying this to people now, which is like, so for me, one of the biggest things is relationships. So everything's an action, right?
Absolutely.
But our relationship to that action determines our experience of it.
Absolutely.
So my questions to them are about, what relationship are you having with this experience? So let's say someone comes in, it's like public speaking.
They're just terrified.
I'm great online, I'm great when there's, that barrier there, but the minute I'm surrounded by people or there's too many people, it's like, well, what's changed for you is this environment shift. You have a particular relationship with that environment and with that activity. Let's look at and explore the relationship that you have with it. Yeah. And then let's look at how we're framing that. And the relationship with themselves, because most people are discounting themselves from the communication.
Yeah.
Because they're so busy going, what will they think of me? Yeah. How do I look? And how do I sound? And all of that stuff. So I bring people back to themselves. And one of the other major things with that is prioritizing your message. So when we're having a conversation, I'm saying something and it's for a reason. We've got a purpose here. We've got a conversation. Even if it's sociable, right? We are there to connect with each other, to bond with each other. So it's where we are pointing our focus and how we're then prioritizing that. And then, of course, everything that's happening physically with that as well, and connecting in. So it's really about bringing people back to themselves. And then we go into this, well, everything's an exchange, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So there's give and receive in every communication. So it starts with you, and then it's about what you're offering, and then responding and being there and being present and being engaged with that. So presence is another really important thing, because most of the time people think they have to present something.
Yeah.
So, I've got a presentation. I've got to present something. I've got to show something. I've got to sell something. And it's like, no, the goal isn't to present anything. The goal is to be present with.
Absolutely. Tell a story.
Yeah.
I just always say, tell a story.
That's it. And the story is, again, your story. So the stories that we not only tell other people, but the story that we tell each other. What is your story? What's the story you're telling yourself? Yeah. Is it a story of, I'm not good enough, no one's going to be listening to me, who am I?
People even want to listen to me.
And who am I to speak? And that's a story that you're running and telling yourself. But if that's the story you're telling yourself, it doesn't matter the words that come out of your mouth, you're communicating that.
Absolutely.
Right? So I can stand up in a space and I can walk in and I can say, hi, it's nice to meet you, right? But if I'm nervous and I'm prioritising my nerves, or I'm feeling that lack of self-worth, I'm prioritising that lack of self-worth, that's what's going to communicate.
Absolutely, that's what's
so then it comes out as, hi, nice to meet you, and
your body language drops, the head goes, the shoulders go,
and that all comes from relationship. So you'll get a lot of coaches that will tell people, well, if you stand like this, and if you place your voice there, if you upward inflect here, and we'll look at intonation and pause on that line. And I'm like, yeah, but you're just imposing a lot of instructions on a person. Whereby if we,
there might be something deeper.
Yeah, but if we come into alignment, all of that stuff happens naturally.
Yeah.
Because as soon as my relationship changes, as soon as I come into that alignment and that connection, I'm naturally going to stand differently. I'm naturally going to be breathing differently. I'm going to inflect on particular points. But I don't want to be worrying about when to pause and when to breathe. That's all going to happen because
it comes natural, doesn't it? Once you build the confidence, it just happens natural.
So it's getting people so that everything works in coordination with each other. So from a physical point of view, your body, breath, voice, speech, all in alignment. but your relationship and your relational alignment is also there for you. So if you're aligned with yourself and you're aligned with your message and you're also aligned physically, everything's coming into coordination, and then you're liberated to just stand and speak and have a conversation. And so the biggest part of that as well for me is that it's all a conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
So it doesn't matter if it's one-to-one in a podcast setting like this, or if we meet for coffee, or if I'm standing in a large arena with like over 10,000 people, I'm having a conversation with 10,000 people. That's what's happening.
Maybe that's what our training courses are like. That's why what we do is so different, because we don't teach all that logic and fact. We actually get to know the people. I mean, and sometimes some of our trainers, there's maybe 10, 15 people, but we get to know the person.
Yeah.
We get to know their story, because that's when the magic happens. See, once people open up, and you, as you go back to the kind of storytelling, when people open up and start to tell their story, all of a sudden it doesn't feel so burdensome on them. And then by the time you're kind of 5 or 6 sessions into the programme, they're your best pal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've built this really, really strong relationship. It's exactly as you say, it's because the barriers have came down.
Yeah.
You know what's been holding them back. And I love I'm going to rewind back a couple of bits, but I love because you speak with a massive confidence. Obviously, you teach it. So when you speak with loads of in your hands and all that. You speak with loads of confidence. Has it always been like that? Because I know you've been an actor for a long time.
Yeah.
Talk about the early days. So what about school? Was it the same Kirsty then?
Well, no, it was at the very beginning. So as a really young kid, absolutely, I was full of life. I was wild.
Aye.
And I had no sense of consequence. And I used to just open my mouth. I never thought before I spoke. I was just wild, full of energy. But then, unfortunately for me, I got really unwell.
Right, okay.
And so when I was 9, I got glandular fever, and I didn't fully recover from that.
Wow.
I became incredibly unwell, to the point where I became bedridden. So I was housebound for about 3 years.
Age that 11, did you say?
So I was 9 when I first started to get ill, but it was progressive. So I got progressively ill. So by the time I was 17, I was completely bedridden and immobile. So I couldn't walk, I couldn't feed myself, I couldn't bathe myself, I couldn't move unassisted. It hurt just to breathe. So everything became more and more isolating for me. So this started obviously from the age of 9 on a gradual decline. I was in that short developmental years.
Absolutely, that's the key years, are in it.
I was dropping out of school, so the socialisation of school wasn't there, the social aspects of school.
Those skills.
So I was getting more and more into a decline physically, mentally, emotionally, withdrawn and isolated, to the point where when I did start to physically heal, I had to relearn everything else as well. So I had to work with an occupational therapist to...
I want to jump back. I'm sorry I'm jumping in.
No.
I want to go back to that 17-year-old, right, who's lying in bed, and what the hell was going through your mind? What was happening in there? What was going on when you're sitting going, how did I get here?
By that point, that was the really devastating time, because by that point I am having to lie in a darkened room because I'm sensitive to light and sound. My whole body's in constant pain. It's sore to breathe. So I'm basically just existing at this point for the most part. And already by that point, my mental health had taken a massive drop because from the age of 9, we're going, this is getting worse and worse and worse. Losing your friendship groups, opting out of education, feeling like you're a burden.
Can I do the same things? Can I go anywhere?
Do anything.
Yeah,
so also on top of that, you're feeling like you're a burden.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? It's a waste of life.
Yeah.
So I really got to that point where I just didn't want to be here anymore.
Wow.
That's as bad as it got. And so what that did for me and how I felt about myself was I started to really identify with worthlessness and useless and broken, and no, there's no life for you here. That's where I got to with it.
Scary, isn't it?
That's how bad it got, So even as I started to physically improve. I mean,
that was the I'm just going to say the pinnacle. That was the kind of trough.
That was like the worst. I mean, that at 17 was probably the worst. But it was never a straightforward process thing. Right. So I had progress and then declined again, and it went like that. So also because I went through so many years of misdiagnosis with it. So
is that why it went so far?
There was a lot of misdiagnosis and mistreatment. So for about 8 years. It wasn't until 17 that I was finally diagnosed with severe ME. That's what they said it was. Also known as post-viral fatigue syndrome, chronic fatigue syndrome. But that's still a very misunderstood condition. And there's not much can be done with it, from a medical perspective, really. So we're looking at alternative medicines and alternative treatments. Right. You name the treatment, I've tried it. Over the years, I went through everything from homeopathy to kinesiology, reflexology, Reiki, Chinese herbal medicine.
I'll have a go.
Faith healing at one point, which is another story. Laying on the hands, let's pray for the child. So, I mean, seriously, we really just kind of going for whatever we could. And also realising that it wasn't like my parents were in a financial position to be able to fund this. They went into severe debt. To try and help me in any way.
They're a wee lassie.
Basically, So they were working incredibly hard to do whatever they could to help me, and not really being in a financial position to do that, but like, whatever we need to do, we'll do. That must have been really hard these days. It must have been, and I can understand why you were like the way you were, like going through that. I'm a burden, I'm this, I'm that. Just completely broken as a person, like to the point of, because you're existing, you're not. There's no life happening there at all, and the adjustment then, as we started to find some things, it was all about symptom management. So it was not going to be cured, but I was going to get symptom management that was going to help me, and also with that, you're having to alleviate any external stress. Right. Given that it's impacting on your mental health, this is a cycle that starts to, really stick. And so eventually there was some enough improvement. Well, I had to learn to walk again.
Because lying about your muscles deteriorate.
So I had to work with an occupational therapist. I had developed anxiety about being outside because it was overstimulating, it was overwhelming. Yeah. So it was basically like day's activity would be, see if you can sit up for 5 minutes. That's the level I was at, and then that would be you. And I got from that to being able to move about the house, and then it was like, okay, we're just going to get you to stand at your front door. That's as much as you have to do for today, that's it. So I learned to live in little pockets of, this is all you have to do. Don't think about anything else, don't be with anything else. This is all you've got capacity for right now, so work with what you've got. And as I did that, my circle of capacity started to grow. So it went from the front door to the end of the driveway, to the bus stop, to eventually being able to get on a bus. I remember, going and learning social skills again, meeting the occupational therapist in the coffee shop. Yeah. Then the next time I would meet her, right, it's your turn, you have to go up and order the coffee.
What age were you then? I mean, that's God almighty.
I was 18 at that point. So at 18, that was
your teens years are gone now.
Yeah. So 17. So that year was quite effective for me, because I'd gone from being severely bedridden at 17 to slowly starting to increase activity by 18. But like that, things like just going up and ordering a cup of coffee, where I was in my level of anxiety and finding my voice to ask basic questions, to then, I had been involved with youth theatre before, intermittently whenever I had been physically well enough in my younger years. And so I went back to Scottish Youth Theatre. They welcomed me back. And then from there, at the age of 19, I was able to go to college. And the college were amazing because we let them know what was happening with me and what support I might need, and all my classmates as well. And I was at Langside for 2 years doing my acting and performance. And so from there I was building, really my health was improving over time. But even within that, like from a social perspective, it was really challenging because I was wearing masks all the time.
Yeah, wow.
I didn't want any of my peer group or people that were becoming my friends to kind of really know what was going on with me at a deeper level and where that struggle was. So trying to find the balance between who you wanted to be for public,
absolutely,
to be acceptable.
I totally get it too.
Versus like who you are. And then I got to a point where I got a place at Oxford School of Drama, and that was a big leap because I was going to be leaving Scotland. I was going to Oxford by myself, and that was initially great. I had again a really good group of people in my class and everything like that, but I got flu, and it was a really bad flu, and my body just couldn't, with the workload as well. It was a bigger workload that I was balancing, and I was also balancing having to look after myself fully 100% by myself, which I'd never done. This was me unsupported finally.
That's massive leap, isn't it, from 17 to 89?
So at 21, this was me going to be living and supporting and managing and meeting all my own needs whilst doing my course, and then getting the flu. I just flattened out. So 3 months before
you like a ton of bricks, did it? Yeah.
And so 3 months before I was due to graduate, done. You're having to come home. So my parents had to come pack up all my stuff, bring me home. And
it must have been devastating for you.
It was the thought of them, because what they did as well, they drove, it's like an 8-hour drive. They drove all the way to Oxford, packed me up, because the only way I could travel, because I had my health just hit me. So I couldn't just travel on the train or a plane. They had to lay me in the back of the car, to drive me all the way back, for them to get me settled at home, to then drive all the way back to Oxford to pack up all my stuff and bring it back. So my thought always goes to what that must have been like for them, to have to go into that room and pack up all my things and bring it all back.
Knowing that you were so close.
So close. And from there, it was 1.5 years of rehabilitation before I could do whatever was next. And people said, what are you going to do? What, your health's coming back. Great, what are you going to do? I'm going to New York. What? You're doing what now? I'm going to New York.
Sounds like you like to take risks here.
I've always wanted to study in New York. I've always wanted to do it. I'm going to New York. Now, I still don't have any confidence at this point.
But you're doing it anyway.
I still don't have any self-worth. I still don't understand much about relationships or having my own voice. This was like just this one strong thing. So one thing I've noticed is like the really major decisions that I've ever made have been ones that have overridden the lack of self-belief.
Absolutely.
So, the fear. So this studying in New York, even although at that point I still felt really worthless as a person and I really didn't have any confidence, whatever it was, because sometimes I think the universe just gives us things.
Absolutely.
Desires or things that we feel compelled to do.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know. I was like, I just know that I'm supposed to go there. And anything else just wasn't there. But it gave me so much when I went there. I mean, I learned a lot about life and I learned a lot about who I did not want to be, and social dynamics and all these things.
Because it's a different ball game in the US as well, isn't it?
Different ball game, And again, that's like, you're in an environment where you're going to have to take care of yourself. But I got ill 4 times.
Oh, dearie me.
And one of the times I couldn't come home because it would have impacted my visa, so I had to take the whole summer semester off. So again, looking at this, and again, it wasn't like I financially had it or my parents financially had it. Like the work that I had to do to get the finance to be there, the work I was doing to finance myself to be there, the debt my parents again were putting themselves in to help me do this. So the guilt and the shame of they're putting themselves in debt so that I can be here. I've been working my butt off, but now I'm stuck and I'm not in school and I'm not working and I'm ill, and they're still telling me don't come home because we know from previous experience the steps you need to take to get your health back to a level where you can go back to school.
Yeah.
So just let's do that. And for that decision, like I've never, see now I'm having this conversation, I've never really thought about my parents' perspective on all of that and the impact that had on them. And
there must have been sleepless nights. I mean, real, because I've got a daughter who's 21, right? And you would literally do anything for them. But I've never experienced what your parents have been through. I've never experienced that. So I could just even imagine it must be.
The decision.
Because you're their Wayne. At the end of the day, you're still their Wayne. Doesn't matter what age they are. You're just their Wayne.
Yeah. And that decision from them to say, that's a big deal, because a lot of parents, I think, would have said, forget it, scrap it, abandon this, abandon ship like you had to do with Oxford. This is financially, we can't do this. But they were like, I think because of the loss that I'd experienced from the previous situation, they didn't want that experience for me again.
Yes.
And I didn't want that experience for me again. So it's mad when I think about it now that I stayed and I completed my time there, and then I stayed a further year on a practical training visa before I finally came home. So yeah,
that was an experience. Everyone's an experience here.
Yeah.
So you get to New York. You complete your training. You do the additional year. You come back to the UK.
Come back to
what
the
happens
UK.
next? Because we must be getting near the kind of actors.
Well,
breakthrough year away.
yeah. So basically, as well,
Did you come back a much more confident person? Who was Kirsty when she came back?
I came back somewhat more confident, but still not there. I still had a lot of like
self-doubts,
a lot of place of lack of self-worth. I'm going to be, really honest about that in terms of the self-worth thing. I would only say that it's been in the last few years. Even although I've been working with people from a confidence perspective, it's not been, some people have an immediate thing, immediate breakthrough. They go from one extreme to another.
Yeah.
That's not been my experience with this and as I've discovered now as I work with other people in terms of aligning with yourself and connecting with yourself, it's taken me a gradual process to come to this point. But knowing how I got there, I don't want it to take that long for other people.
I want to ask a question. My brain's going when you said that there. So you've got this lack of self-worth, self-esteem going on inside you. And you were saying for some people, like I'm very black and white, right? I'm either that or I'm this, right? And I'm switching, and then when I've decided it's me, this is the path I'm on, right? Do you think it's because of, right at the very start, you talked about that relationship you have with yourself and your thoughts and beliefs about who you are as a person. Do you think the bigger the emotional attachment you have to something that's happened in your past, that's why it takes so longer to overcome it? Do you think the past is what stopped you from being able to just switch? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think it's the relationship that's born out of that, because it's not the circumstance, right? It's not what happens to you, it's what happens within you as a result of what happens to you and how you begin to identify. So what happened to me was really severe. And so I then developed a huge identification with and belief around being worthless and burdensome and broken and all the rest of it. And so that became a core identity. Yeah,
that was one of your core beliefs about yourself,
Right? But that is all that it really is. It becomes my truth. So then that becomes the main foundational relationship that I'm taking. So it doesn't, whatever else is going on, that's the heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing that's going to override, because it's a dominant belief, it's a dominant thought. Yeah.
So I look for the evidence of that wherever I can find it. Yeah. And I try to prove that's true.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I don't want that. So this is where you're in a battle with yourself. Because I don't want that, right? So I'm working to arrive at, no, but I can do this and I should be doing that.
Do you think that's why you push yourself in all these situations? Because you're constantly, you've got this voice saying one thing and you're going, no, I'm not accepting that.
I don't want to feel, I feel a certain way. I don't want to feel it. So I look for how I can not feel that. But that's my core belief.
Yeah.
So then,
until that changes, you're always going to have this.
So you're at odds with yourself because of there's like wants and desires and things you want to feel and experience, but you don't. And so you're in a sort of resistance path. So the other thing that I really have discovered that works a lot is acceptance. And it's the same in circumstance. Whatever the circumstance may be, I don't want this, I don't like this, I can't believe this is happening, this is not what I wanted. And we go into resistance. So then we can't work with what we've got.
Absolutely.
So I love this idea of use the difficulty. So it's not mine, it comes from Michael Caine, and he's talking about it from an acting point of view, right? Where a director had said to him something was happening on stage, a mishap. I think it was like a set door or something you can get open. And it's like, well, use it. Use the difficulty. Use the thing that's come in and interrupted your expectation. Use the, but you can take that and you can put it into your life and say, okay, use the difficulty. But you have to accept that it's happening before you can use it. So you have to accept how you're feeling about yourself. You have to accept that that's where you're at. And then how do I work with this? And how do I work with this circumstance? And then realising that my relationship with everything was determining my experience of it. So then I have to look at the relationship, and that's the relationship I have to change.
Wow,
and
amazing.
so that's the main discovery. But I've only been able to discover all that because of what I've experienced.
Absolutely. Do you think, I'm going to go back to the clients in a minute. I want to go back to came back from New York.
Yeah.
What was the next steps? You came back.
Well,
and then I'm going to go back to this, finding this person, right? Because I went through something similar, but let's go through the story first.
So I was kind of lucky in the sense of my logic was telling me that there was an industry in the UK, because I still wanted to be an actor. That was really important to me. That was the path I was going to take. And I felt like, well, the UK has an industry. I was with a lot of people in my course and things like that who were from different parts of the world. They didn't feel that where they were from had the same level of industry. And so for them, their fight to stay in America was significantly stronger than mine. But when it came to that point of applying for the next visa and what that was going to mean for me, I was like, I don't need to do that. I can go back to the UK and discover the industry. But I came back to nothing. I came back, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who casting directors were. I didn't know who was producing what. From scratch, from absolute basics. All I had was the training that I'd done and a little bit of footage from some student films I'd shot whilst I was over in America. So I used that to put a reel together and contacted agents. And so I got an agent miraculously and started to research online, like, who was doing what and who was here in Scotland, and just started taking some, classes here and just to introduce myself and that kind of thing. And it was just that thing of building up my information and
your network and
my network. And so a few things led me, to one job would lead me to another and so on. And it kind of just again built up in a gradual way, and then I had a few little things that gave me some breakthroughs. And then I was really lucky with that because I got to do quite a bit of really good Scottish telly.
Absolutely.
One of my first
jobs. Tell us about the Scottish telly.
Well, one of my first ever jobs was Taggart.
Okay.
Right as Taggart was getting close to finishing as well. And there were some amazing actors in that episode that I got to work on. And that was a brilliant introduction. And one of the things
you must have been pinching yourself. Everything you've just came through. That whole story, and then all of a sudden you're on a set of Taggart. You're like, wow.
Yeah, no, it was. And to sort of watch it all run, because I got really fascinated by the inner workings of it all and learning about all the different departments. So I would take a lot of time when I was on sets to observe who was doing what their job role was, how that helped me do my job better. But I will say, I do not like my performance in that episode.
Oh, really?
I was so mad at myself. And again, that was all the self-deprecating language I was using. I haven't seen it for years. I might change my mind now. But again, I went into that wondering how the hell I got the job and being so self-deprecating the whole way through it. Saying I'm terrible and all these actors are brilliant and they're all so good at what they're doing and I'm really shocking.
And you're thinking, why?
Yeah, because the turmoil that I was putting myself through just for that, when I look back on it now, it's like, it's like a completely other world, other language I was using on myself.
Do you think also though, for most people, when they see themselves on video and camera, they're so self-critical. Like my wife, right, she's absolutely stunning, right? She looks incredible and she hates herself on camera. She hates the sound of her own voice. And I'm like, I did not necessarily like looking at myself, my own voice. Now I'm like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I'm just, hey, this is me, and if you don't like it, tough. I honestly don't have that in my head anymore, but most people do. They really don't like looking at themselves or watching themselves, don't they? That's mental, innit?
And it's a common thing for people, but most people come with that. And what I've learned to do is now, oftentimes, if I'm watching something back that I've done, if it's me as myself, like on an interview, I'm more listening to the content of what I've said, what my message is, what I've said there, and and that kind of thing. And even then, I'm not ever analysing it to judge now, because one of the things for me that's really important is to practice non-judgment.
Yes.
It's one of the things I tell everyone I'm working with. Right, see that judgment? We're throwing it in the bin.
Yep, absolutely.
We can have awareness. We can have awareness of where we are, awareness of even where we want to be, but we ain't judging that.
Yeah. Yep.
We're letting that go.
Right. We'll get into that in a minute, because I want to really dive into this, who you help, why you help, why is it really purpose driven for you. So we had Taggart. What was next? I know people will be going, right, I want to know what else she was on, so they can go and look. You'll see all the things you've been out. I'll peek.
I'm trying to think of the order of things.
Just go for it. Didn't matter the order.
I think Burnistoun was a big one.
That was your biggie, aye.
That was a really good one to get in, because that ended up being a series. It was comedy.
It was hilarious.
It was the first time I had, still at that point, because as a kid, before I'd gotten ill, everything for me was funny. Everything was about humour. I loved comedy. And as all of that situation in my life happened, I became a very serious person. And then also, even when I was in New York, the persona that I developed in New York, when I think about it now, I was a whiskey drinking, writing poetry. I wasn't looking, I mean, this is the other thing when I was in New York, I didn't look after myself, so no wonder I got ill again.
Yeah.
And that whole conversation with yourself about the shame and the guilt I went through of not having looked after myself to end up ill again. Should have known better. Like, I went through that whole process.
Well, we're young. Young.
But you think about social dynamics, but very serious person I had become. So getting that job, it just reintroduced me to comedy. It taught me to learn to laugh again.
Because it was hilarious, wasn't it? It was absolutely hilarious.
Silly, and to do daft things, and and just getting to see them work. They're so brilliant. I mean, Robert and Ian, you don't have to try, because it's there on the page.
Yeah.
So they give you the gift of that, really. And it was just such a joyous, fun experience to have. And so to be part of that for 3 series was just amazing. And then I did River City, which was serious again.
Serious again, yes.
And then over the years, Outlander, Annika, Guilt, Doctors. So I've done really well in terms of Scottish telly, I would say. And then even in theatre, I went on and done a one-woman comedy show.
Oh, did you really? Wow.
Which was like really physical. And,
you must have really dug deep for that one then, did you?
But the fact that it was comedy was great.
Aye.
And it was, I mean, again, when I think back to go from where I was, like from that 17-year-old lying in bed, not able to move, completely incapacitated, to being part of a tour of a one-woman show, physical comedy, Edinburgh Playhouse. It's a huge stage.
Absolutely.
Right? And you've got to fill that stage and do show after show after show. When I look at that now and I go, oh yeah, but I didn't give myself any credit throughout that whole show.
Oh, really?
No, I was destroying myself that whole show. So that is one of the biggest things for me now when I work with people, because I know what it is to be at that point of even when you get the job or even when you're doing the thing, you're not actually getting to embrace it, to enjoy it.
Because you're too busy in your own head.
Because you're too busy destroying yourself over what isn't working, what you think isn't working, or what you think isn't going right, or where you think you're not good enough. So that was something that was really happening in my experience a lot. Even when I would get the job or I would do the thing, I wouldn't get to appreciate it fully for what, or to even give myself credit for any achievement with it, or to even just enjoy it as an experience, because I was raking myself over the coals constantly, just in this sort of turmoil of anxiety about all the bits that weren't working or weren't going right, or where I could do better.
You're back to this wee voice again.
Yeah, like really, really badly. So I would say where that all really turned around for me was when just not long after COVID, really.
When the business side started to pick up and you're working with a lot of clients.
Working with a lot of clients. But like that, COVID came knocking on my door and it knocked me sideways.
Right.
And there was 3 months again where I wasn't able to work or anything. So I was like...
I've had COVID twice. Obviously not as bad as how it affected you. I was floored. I think 2 weeks was the worst. But when I had it twice, it was both really, really bad. Like that was some people get COVID and it's a cold.
Yeah.
I was floored. I mean, there was days I was lying and I was shaking and I was floored. I got it twice better. Anyway, back to you. I want to ask you a question before we'll get to the COVID story, right? We're going to get to all that. I want to go back to the acting, right? Because this fascinates me, right? What was the one thing or the one programme or the one, and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, Kirsty, geez, this is incredible. This is what I was born to do. Was there ever that moment when you really thought, wow?
In terms of like
the acting and the way you've came to in life, and
a job that was a wow job, like a pinch me moment job. Well, I think for me, it was only ever on reflection. It was never at the time. Right. Because like I say, like if I look at it, that one woman show and getting to perform on the Edinburgh Playhouse main stage by myself, right? That's just to be able to say that I've done that. Right? To me, that's a wow moment, actually.
Yes, that's huge.
To be...
Is that the big wow then? Is that oh my God, I done that?
But then you look at it and you go, oh my God, I got to be in Outlander, even if it was just an episode. Yeah. Oh my God, I got to be in Burnistoun for 3 series and work with these amazing writers and comedians and actors.
By the way, I absolutely love Outlander.
You know?
I love it.
And the thing with that show is that people still love it now. Like I'll get people of completely new generation to come up to me and start talking to me about it because they've seen it on like TikTok or YouTube, or it's still there. It's still relevant to people. Like they still love it even now so much.
I mean, I only actually started watching it probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I just binge watched it a lot. You know what I love, right, about TV? I'm a shit TV watcher, right? I will watch anything, particularly comedy, by the way. I absolutely love it. But that's my kind of break. That's my, so for business to personal life is shit TV. So we'll work to most nights 6 o'clock, 6:30, switch off, well, we normally have had dinner by then, and then we go into the living room and it's just shit TV, and it's my switch, and I love it, and I just love TV. I keep saying shit TV, that's terrible. But TV, like, I just love it. But you know, a lot of people go, why would you watch that? Or why would you, like, I find that whole just being able to totally switch off, I'm just glued to the TV. We're watching something right now for 2010. It's called Accused.
Oh yeah, I know
it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I only found it 2 days ago, and I think I watched 3 series last 3 episodes last night.
I think this is the great thing about film and television and even theatre, stories really of any format, right?
I love it.
So in any format, it brings people together. It connects people. What you watching? What have you seen? Oh, have you seen that bit? Did you see that bit when that happened? Or have you seen that sketch? Do you know that one? Oh, this is funny. Wait till I show you this. It's a real way of connecting people and bringing people together. And people can also then really feel seen, or just for entertainment purposes. It's one of those things that's actually really powerful, is the power of story in all its forms. And it's one of the reasons why I love it.
The power of story, and it's really, because people will probably have seen you on TV and they'll have this preconceived idea of who Kirsty is, and you're kind of like, no, really. Here's a real story. It's fun. I think it's just absolutely fantastic when somebody, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, how somebody can go up and tell their story and captivate people. Now, whether it's fiction or it's non-fiction, doesn't matter. The story just pulls you in. You know, because I love particularly things like Outlander or any of the long series. You get to know the characters so well that you almost think that you know them, don't you? I'm so captivated that I almost like, he's my pal.
You talk about them as if you know them. Why did you do that? As if it's real.
How stupid was she? Could you imagine? I mean, God's sake, and my wife got it's a TV, and I'm like, I know, but I just thought that's how captivated I am with it. And movies as well. I love movies. Me and my wife, luckily, are big movie buffs. We love going to the cinema still. I can go for a meal and go to the cinema. I still want my popcorn and my drink.
But this is the impact of story.
Aye.
So I'll give you another little bit as well, because this shows you impact and the difference story can make in a way that you don't realise, right? So most people know that I'm a Rocky fan, right? My dog's called Adrian Balboa.
Right, okay.
That's how much a Rocky fan I am. But I talk about it because it saved my life, literally. So Rocky 4 saved my life. And people are like, what do you mean?
Right, you need to tell me the story now.
Right? And I'm like, well, yeah, because when I first saw Rocky 4, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know what was happening with my health. I just knew how ill I was. And then I saw that, and I was like, and I had this thought to myself, Ivan Drago is Rocky's toughest opponent. And he's really, you know, it's life and death here. Yeah. And so I might not know what this illness is, but I'm in the ring with it. So it gave me a way to personify my illness, to identify with it. And then I went back and I watched all the films and the philosophy in it about, you know, going the distance and going in one more round when you don't think you can. That's the difference in your life.
What's the famous saying, is I think it's in the very first Rocky, about life will knock you down. It's not about how many times you get knocked down.
So that's in Balboa.
Is it? Right. That's how many times you can get back up.
So that's the famous
I love that.
So that's the Sunshine and Rainbows.
Sunshine and Rainbows, that's it.
And that's from Balboa. So that's after a long time. He's much older. Adrian's died. He's having this conversation with his son. And he's like, it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get. Well, I've got a tattoo on my foot. It says keep moving forward. With the boxing gloves.
Brilliant.
Because when I went to do the West Highland Way, I was like, I'm going to need this Rocky philosophy to get me through this, to get me through this West Highland Way. So I thought, well, it's my foot forward. Put it on my foot. So yeah, keep moving forward is tattooed now on my foot. That's how much of a fan I am.
Rockies are timeless as well, innit? They're timeless. You
really
can be in any situation and watch a Rocky movie and feel good.
That's it.
Feel like you can overcome.
It's so motivational and inspirational, and it's inspired generation after generation. And like, because I'm such a fan, I'm really involved with a lot of the Rocky community online, and so
I can never forget the
the music, all the montages.
It's in my brain. Like I am again. I've probably seen Rocky that many times that you feel like you know the character, you know the story, you know the life, you know all the challenges, the doubt that he was going through. Was it in 2 or 3 he was going through real self-doubt?
So in 3, really
self-doubt.
So then you get that amazing scene with Apollo, and because he's like, tomorrow, we'll do it tomorrow. He's like, there is no tomorrow. Right? So again, or the confrontation scene with where he's talking to Adrian on the beach, and she's like, there's nothing wrong with being afraid, because he's like, I'm afraid, and she's like, well, there's nothing wrong with being afraid.
We talked about this offline. See that fear, everybody gets it. I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. Everybody gets fear. When I first started doing this podcast, I was terrified. When I first wrote the book, I'm like, who's going to want to listen to my story? And my wife's like, James, your story's amazing.
Loads of people.
And I'm like, but it's a normal story. It's like nothing exceptional. It's like that. You left school, you had no qualifications, you would only run $1 billion company in the Middle East.
I mean,
I think that's a good story.
I think what it is because we live through it. When you live through your own story, you've already experienced it, it's already familiar to you, you know it. So to you, it doesn't seem so incredible because it's what you know and it's what you've lived. But when you start telling it to somebody else,
people are like, wow.
They go, wait a minute, what?
You should see the feedback I had because it's on Audible. By the way, I recorded the Audible in this studio too. I did the whole Audible version in this studio, so I did. And the feedback I've got has been amazing. And that's good. I love that feeling. You're like watching somebody on TV and seeing them go through something and that being a trigger. Reading a book, I'm a big podcast. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks, and I always have a trigger. I always have something I go, wow, that always helps me move forward. And that's the beauty of storytelling, going back to the storytelling.
It's the connection that you can make. So whatever, Sylvester Stallone did not think when he was writing Rocky that it was going to impact some wee 12-year-old in Glasgow to help her health. Like, that's not what he's writing it for, right? But the connections that we make with the story somebody else tells, so it's your story, you share it, but somebody listening, based on what they're experiencing and what they're going through, might connect to something and might land on something, and it'll mean something to them. It's unique to them.
Do you not think it's also amazing that the whole story, how Rocky became about, the having the selling his dog, and like the whole, I mean, even that, the resilience and grit and determination that Sylvester Stallone must have went through, especially when he was on his arse. I mean, how tempting must that have been? But he never gave up his dream.
No.
So forget the Rocky movies, even the story
even his
about
story
how it came about is mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's so much grit and determination.
Yeah, how he had to sell his dog and then buy his dog back and the whole thing. Yeah, absolutely.
It's brilliant, isn't it? So, right, I want to go back now. I want to go to the modern day. So COVID kicked in.
Yeah, so then I ended up unwell again.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ended up unwell again for like 3 months. And it was that moment of, right, I had got myself to a level of manageability with my health. And it was like, so how it tends to work is the higher the percentage, the less symptoms you have. So if you're 100% symptom-free manageability. And I'd got to a point where I was able to live independently and work, and I was doing quite well. You know, it was like 30% window of like, that's what I'm dealing with and managing. Yeah. And then when this COVID hit, I was like, I want to investigate further and go further into working to heal, and really started working on my personal development at a deeper level. Yeah. And so I really started to do that through different forms. I went back into therapy, I worked on compassionate inquiry, discovered plant medicine, and then that's a whole other thing altogether. But I had a major breakthrough with that.
Right, wow.
And that really shifted things for me massively. And at the same time, when I went back into work and I was working with people, and I kept, because of what I had been working on myself and what I'd experienced, I started seeing things coming up time and again with other people in terms of confidence and relationship and nerves and anxiety, particularly around their speaking and their communicating. They were devoicing themselves, limiting themselves. Where are they disconnected? And then I started to really get into developing this work that I now do and seeing it work. Because having experienced it myself, knowing that it works from my own experience, then delivering it to other people and seeing it work for them, there's nothing more joyous. In all the things that you've asked me about acting and acting career and moments in acting, this is another level for me.
Yeah. This is when you actually, the purpose and the passion combine in it.
And I went through a big identity shift with that, because it was a big thing to sort of say my whole life had been geared towards, but I'm an actor. And it's like, well, I don't have to say goodbye to that. I don't have to pack it up and never do it again. I'm certainly open to it. I mean, I've got projects coming up the beginning of next year, but this is something else. And this means something to me, and I'm dedicated to this, and I'm excited by it, and I can see the difference that it's making immediately to people. Yeah. And so this is what I'm now developing and growing and expanding now.
So I want to stick with there. On that note, so who is is there such a thing as an ideal client for you? Who is it? So let's say there's somebody listening like, oh my God, I really struggle. You know, I'm a CEO or I'm a managing director or you know, I've got a great story to tell, but I'm terrified. Who are they? What's the ideal person? What would that look like?
Anybody that feels that they are limiting themselves in any communication environment. So anyone who's dealing with imposter syndrome, confidence issues, nerves and anxiety around any kind of form of speaking and communicating, whether that's public speaking, presenting, or it's in their leadership role, whether it's in their one-to-one communication, whether it's an online communication, whether it's in front of a camera, whether it's to do with webinars and delivering webinars or online content now, because people feel they need to be online and developing that content.
Massive, yeah.
So anywhere where someone is devoicing, limiting themselves, don't feel they're effective in certain areas of communication or relationship. So that can be at any level or any industry. So somebody wants to get into public speaking and share their story, or somebody is, you know, leading a large team of people, but they don't feel they're fully effective in their leadership.
Or somebody maybe trying to, you know, advance their career where they need to do presentations and start standing up meetings and just building that confidence to actually have a voice, really. Yeah, because it's amazing how many people, I'm going back to my previous life, when you would sit, I don't do it now, but you would sit in a meeting as a leader, and you always had the key voices. You always had the people that would speak up, and you had people that would never say a word. See now, I'm like, I want to hear you, and I want to hear you, because see some of those voices, those quiet voices who are terrified to speak up, they've got some of the most powerful ideas.
Yeah.
You know, and I had to learn that lesson. Yeah. And I suppose that's another thing then, innit, is giving people a voice.
Yeah, it's to return them back to themselves and to free their voice. It's bringing them... people, I feel like what it is a lot of the time is we impose things upon ourselves. We impose identity. We impose beliefs. We impose these blocks. And so my job is not to come in and impose other things of stand this way, speak that way, see if you elevate that. No. I'm there to strip away any imposition, any blockage, and bring people right back to themselves with trust and acceptance. Because at the end of the day, and what I always say to people is, you only know what you know. You only have the experience that you have.
That's exactly it.
You are willing to give all of that with full involvement and investment, with a willingness to grow and learn at the same time. Would you ask any more of someone else than that? So why are you asking more of yourself?
Absolutely.
And then when you start to anchor into what you know and trust what you know, that's what you offer, because confidence is really about that knowing.
100%.
Right? Because when we know something, like, I know what I'm doing with that. I'm confident with that. I know that. So oftentimes we're going into unknown circumstances, unknown situations. Oh, I've never spoken to this group of people before. Oh, I'm going in to meet this person. And that's an unknown situation. But if I am the known...
I still feel it.
Yeah.
I still get the nerves.
That's it. And the nerves, it's not to eradicate them, because this is the other thing
I think the nerves are a good thing for me, because it means that, I know they all sound dead corny to a lot of people, but when I get nervous, it's because I'm going to do something I've not done before.
Yeah.
So this is what I say. I tell myself, it's no nerves, it's excitement.
Exactly.
I actually say to myself, James, it's no nerves. You're actually excited. And it's like a switch.
Yeah.
Like, so we talked about this offline, right? You heard it in one of the podcasts when I developed my very first training program, and I'm in the bathroom and I was terrified. Now, I know my shit, right? I built this thing based on my life's experience, and I knew it was powerful, but I was like, what if they don't get it? What if they're looking at me and going, like, I don't believe a word he says, you know, the things that were going through my mind. And I'm sitting trying to gear myself up in a bloody toilet with the door shut, an actual toilet, gearing myself up. I just thought, you've got to go. All these people have paid, you've got to go. And I just made myself walk out, and it was like, I loved it. I always think about it like as an actor or a singer on a stage, right? And they're singing, and you hear them talk about there's no feeling in the world like when they're performing. And that's what I feel. I started to feel that feeling like, wow, this is incredible. Like, I don't really do a lot of training any longer. Obviously, I've got a team, but I still do the odd one, and I still have the feeling. I still feel like I'm a superstar standing in Glastonbury stage with a mic. I still feel it. You know, it's just a brilliant feeling. But it's no natural. It's became more natural, but it's been a process of learning and developing and getting rid of the voices and getting rid of the nerves and the fears and telling yourself it. And it's almost now like I've learned to, it's just part of who you are now. If that makes sense. It's kind of like I control the switch. I control everything that's happening here. It's on my control. I can shit myself and walk away, or I can face it and just go ahead and do it anyway. And that's where I think where you want people to get to, innit? Strip all the stuff away, get all the fears, get all the thoughts, get all the dominance, whatever it is that's going on in that relationship they have with this thing that's holding them back. Get it, strip it back, make them understand it. No, correct me if I'm wrong, and then they can start to build on their skill sets and their breathing and like when I do video, I do loads and loads of video content for the company, and most videographers say to me, oh James, you're a pure like first take done, you're a pure natural. I'm like, I'm not a natural, I'm just really confident with my stuff. That's the only difference, is the confidence. It's mental.
And that comes from a knowledge, a self-knowledge and a self-acceptance. And so the more you can know yourself and become the known element in the unknown situation, you then start to realise the capacity you have to rely on yourself. So I'm going into this right, so a new group of people, like you say, that training experience, right? And it's the relationship you're having with the newness of that environment. But then if you click back into accessing what you know, what you're there to share, because there's a purpose in what you need to do. I've got knowledge and tools and expertise, and if I convey that to you, you're going to get to do something with that. That's what I'm here for. Beyond that, it's not about what I look like, what I sound like, any of that stuff. I'm coming into alignment and accordance with myself and my knowledge, and I'm passing that on to you. That's what I'm doing.
Amazing.
But most people are discounting themselves immediately out of the equation.
It's human nature for most people. There's a saying, right, by a guy called David Henry Thoreau, and it's, the mass of today's society lives life of quiet desperation, for they never go on to feel the song of fear because of fear, sing their song because of fear and self-doubt. Now, singing their song is becoming them, being them, because the fear and the self-doubt is holding them back in life. And if you look at society today, I mean, with the social media world that we all live in, it's, people are just so terrified to just put themselves out there sometimes, and it holds them back. And I just think, like, imagine this, right? Imagine getting to the end, right? Now, whether you're what you believe in or God or whatever it is, right? Imagine getting to the end of the journey, right? And lying in that bed, and you're just about to take your last few breaths, and you're regretting life. I mean, that must be the most horrible feeling in the world. Like, I want to be sitting there going, come on, bring it on, because I have smashed it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Like, I have done a lot of things I wouldn't say I've regretted, but I could probably done different. But I don't regret them, because it's made me who I am today.
Exactly.
It's made me the father, the husband, the business owner that I am today, because of those experiences. And I think that's magic. I think that's magic. Now, we're getting near the end. I want to ask you, what's next? And then I've got another question after that. What's next for Kirsty?
What's next? Well, because I've developed this passion, I want to take it out. I want to reach as many people as I can with it now. So I'm starting to grow and develop what I'm doing. I'm starting to run workshops now.
Love it.
I'm getting out speaking in front of people now, alongside my one-to-ones. I think my goal is to also probably start my own podcast so that I can
go for it. It's brilliant.
Reach more people that way. And so it's really about taking what I know, developing it even further, and passing it on to other people, because I know that it works and I've seen how it works with other people. And it's to also say that fear is a natural human response.
Absolutely.
Nerves are a natural human response.
Absolutely.
It's what we then do with it, with acceptance. Because if we can acknowledge and accept, okay, this is how I'm feeling, let's move through this, and then align with ourselves and our message, prioritise your message is a key thing as well. You're there in service of something greater.
Absolutely.
To help people. And so then that sort of takes that little bit of ego out of it as well. And it's everything in balance, so it's not to eradicate nerves, it's to balance.
You're always going to have
things
them.
And to balance yourself and to just bring into perspective. And relationship is the key thing, because what we're doing with story, we're building relationship, we're building connection.
Absolutely.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely magical. I think there's nothing like it. This is, like, I remember the very first podcast. I was shitting myself. I was terrified, Kirsty. And then I was 5 minutes in, and I felt like, I was like, this weight had been lifted off. But probably for the first 4 or 5, I was still really, really nervous. But I just, as I said to you earlier, I have this, I just go, look, you're only nervous because you're excited. You're only nervous. That's my switch.
Yeah.
You're only nervous because you're excited.
Yeah.
And that gets me through. Now it's just like, this becomes so normal. Anyway, ask all my guests this, right? And it's your top 3 pieces of advice.
My top 3.
Life, business, whatever it is. If somebody's listening here and they're maybe listening to your story, or they're wanting an acting, or whatever it is, what's your 3 top pieces of advice in life?
Okay, top 3 pieces of advice. I would say, first and foremost, gratitude, right? Being grateful for and finding gratitude even in the smallest of things has been massive for me, because if I take myself back to lying in that bed where all I could do was breathe, then finding my gratitude for that breath and then becoming aware of what I had, which was, okay, I can feel the cool breeze against my face, and I'm grateful for that, the relief that that's bringing me. Or that's leading me to hear the birds and the trees and being grateful for nature. When you focus on, even if it's in the darkest of places, to find the tiniest little bit of light, and you focus all your energy on that light, it will expand.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of people going, well, what have I got to be grateful for? And this is the worst situation I've ever been in. But if there's something in it that you can find something in it, you know.
I mean, that's business as well.
You know, in everything.
In everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's gratitude that, like, even we have a really, I mean, we don't have really bad troughs any longer, but we have troughs, we always go, but look what we've got, look what we've created, it'll be all right. You know, you find that wee bit of light, and the gratitude will really allows you to get to love that.
And that just takes, and then that will grow and expand, because that's where you're pointing your energy and you're pointing your focus, and you're like, well, I've got this, and I'll just let that
When your
grow,
focus goes, your energy flows.
And that's it. And so then I would also say, use the difficulty. It's not mine. It comes from that story of Michael Caine, but I took it and I transferred it into a life situation of, even at the most difficult moments, what is it offering you?
Yeah. What lessons are you going to learn?
What is it giving me?
Yeah.
What am I taking from this? Is it building my resilience? Is it building my strength? Is it building my knowledge, my wisdom? How can I take this? Because it's happening.
I'm still in this one, by the way. This is going into one of my courses.
Use the difficulty. I was like, Michael, use the difficulty. Right? But
You're showing off now.
Yeah, but use it, because it's there, it's happening. So how do I take that ball and run with it? Because it means, it's true in, like, when I say to people in public speaking and presentation skills or anything like that, right? So you can't avoid, if a technical thing happens, all of a sudden your screen's not working or whatever, the lights don't come up, the microphone breaks, whatever. We can't just pretend that's not happening. And it's true, the deeper we get into life. So it's like taking that ball and running with it and using it to your advantage and finding a way to make even the most difficult situation work for you.
Absolutely.
As best you can. So use the difficulty.
And number 3.
And number 3.
I want a rocky one.
I was going to say, it has to be a rocky one. Going in that one more round when you don't think you can, that's what makes all the difference in your life. Because there's times when we don't feel like it. There's times when we think we're done. There's times when we want to just give up. But if we just sometimes, there are moments where, take a moment to rest, whatever. But going in that one more round when you don't think you can, when you think you've got nothing left in the tank, but you show up and you step up anyway, and you put yourself back in that ring and you go again, you have no idea what that can do for you. What it does is it increases your capacity to know what you can handle and what you can cope with. And so this idea of stepping outside of your comfort zone, how do you get more comfortable with something? We have to be uncomfortable with it first.
Absolutely.
It's the only way. So stepping outside of your comfort zone, going in that one more round when you don't think you can, because it tells you something about who you are. I think that's what he meant by that. It's like it tells you who you are, and it shows you there's more to you than you even thought possible.
And that really is the kind of, even your story, it's one more round, there's another round in me, there's another round in me, and it gets you up and it keeps you moving forward.
It's how I identified with it, because the illness would beat me down, and and that analogy worked for me, where I feel like Ivan Drago's kicking my backside today. This is, I'm beat down, hair hurts, eyes hurt, face is all busted, hands is swollen. That's the way he would describe it, but I felt like that. I felt like I had been beaten up and I would get knocked down, but, well, you get back up. I didn't hear no bell. Right? So we get back up.
Didn't hear no bell.
So that's how I didn't hear no bell. Right? And it's basically that. And then it's the same in when it's hitting you hard, you know, in Rocky 3 when he goes back to Club Lang, he's like, hit me again. He says, but you got, my mother hits hard in that. Hit me again. You know? And it really, that thing of like showing up in the face of it, taking the hits, keep moving forward, go in the one more round. That's resilience.
And that's where the magic happens. Because you don't know what round it is. You don't know. It could be round 1 or it could be round 21. You don't know what round it is. And it's I mean, by the way, that's my whole story of life is, even when you think it's done, like COVID, like when you think it's done, what other ways how can I reframe this? How can I reframe what I'm going through so that I'm learning, or I'm moving forward, or I'm getting back up and I'm having that extra round? And there's been lots of days where you've just felt like running away.
Yeah.
Like, even still, there's some days I just feel like running away. But I go in for the extra round.
That's it.
And then the magic happens.
That's it.
And that's the moral of the story. Go in. This is the podcast is go one more round, because you just don't know. Listen, Kirsty, it's been an absolute pleasure. By the way, how do people get in contact with you? All your details will be on the podcast and Spotify and on YouTube. Yeah. But how do they get in contact if they want to have a chat with you?
I've got a website, which is just my name, kirstystrain.com. I'm on Instagram as well, so you can find me there. And yeah, just reach out to me.
Brilliant, amazing. Listen, I do with all my guests. I've got a wee present for you, a wee book. So have a wee read at that.
Amazing.
And, thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming along.
Thank you.
Kirsty, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I've loved it. Thank you.